Hello and welcome. You're watching Rajya Sabha TV. I'm your host Aditi. Let's get the bulletin rolling with the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to leave for Russia today to attend the Eastern Economic Forum in Vladivostok. PM to also take part in the 20th India-Russian annual meeting. Talks to focus on increasing bilateral cooperation in defence, trade and energy. Malé declaration rejects Pakistani ploy, unanimously calls Kashmir India's international matter. Pakistani delegation fails to even get a passing reference to Kashmir issue in declaration adopted at the South Asian Speakers Summit. Daytime restrictions lifted from over 90% police station areas in Kashmir, 26,000 landlines working in the valley. Mobile phone services restored in Jammu and Ladakh. Medical services functioning normally. Traffic back on roads in the state. Indian Air Force gets world's most advanced multi-role combat helicopters. First fleet of 8 Apache attack helicopters to be inducted at Pathankot Air Force Station today. IAF to operate 22 Apaches by 2020. India sweeps series 2-0 against West Indies to consolidate top spot in World Test Championship table. Virat Kohli becomes India's most successful captain in Test cricket with 28 victories. Vice President congratulates Team India for emphatic win. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will leave for Russia today evening for his 2-day visit. During his visit, the Prime Minister will hold a bilateral summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin. On September 4th, Prime Minister Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin will hold the 20th India-Russia Annual Summit. He will also visit a major shipbuilding yard with Putin. The two leaders will then hold delegation-level talks later in the day, followed by dinner. On September 5th, Prime Minister Modi will attend the Eastern Economic Forum as a chief guest. He will also hold bilateral talks with several leaders on the sidelines of the event. He and Putin will visit an international judo championship in Vladivostok, in which a 6-member Indian team is participating. Foreign Secretary Vijay Gokhale said that a number of agreements, including in the coal mining and power sectors, are expected to be firmed up during Modi's 36-hour visit.
It's going to be a short visit, just 36 hours. He will arrive in Vladivostok on the 4th September morning and depart from Vladivostok on 5th September evening. And there are two main purposes for this visit. He has been invited to attend the Eastern Economic Forum by President Putin as one of the chief guests. And secondly, he will also hold the 20th annual summit between India and Russia. The previous editions of the Eastern Economic Forum, this is a forum started by Russia in 2015, have been attended by our former Commerce and Industry Minister in 2018 and our former External Affairs Minister in 2017. So we've had regular high-level, political-level attendance at this Eastern Economic Forum.
We have our correspondent Akhilesh Suman with us on the phone line. Let's get more information about PM Modi's Russia visit. Akhilesh, what will PM primarily focus upon during his visit to Russia?
You know, one of the major focus in this visit will be Prime Minister Narendra Modi is trying to find an alternative source of energy. You know, the way the whole Gulf is mired into conflict and, disturbances among themselves. Finding an alternative source of oil and gas is very important. And if you remember that right from 2014, Russian gas and oil has actually balanced the whole price mechanism in the world. So now there is a plan for making a 5-year roadmap that how India and Russia can cooperate on specifically on oil and gas. The another focus in this visit will be how to cooperate between India and Russia in the way that Indian human resources can be deployed in Russia, because Russia is a vast territory and it has also vast land that are arable lands. So India is also feeling that Indian people can go there and involve themselves in agriculture in Russia. And the third thing is that the diamond industry has come up in a very big way in Russia. Earlier, diamonds were coming to India and processed here, and then it was going to Russia. But now, Russia also wants that there should be local diamond processing units, and Indian industries are also interested. But Russians are not very, skilled in diamond processing. So Indian diamond processing, skilled persons may also find an opportunity to get an employment in Russia. So it
right,
is like,
Akhilesh, you're right. Many opportunities to actually explore in Russia. Thank you so much for sharing that information with us. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday inaugurated Garvi Gujarat, the second state bhavan of the Gujarat government in the national capital, Delhi. The PM was accompanied by Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani, Deputy Chief Minister Nitin Patel, and former Chief Minister Anandiben Patel, who is currently the Governor of Uttar Pradesh. After inaugurating the Bhavan, the PM also walked through the complex built over more than 7,000 square meters of area at Akbar Road. Addressing a gathering after the inauguration, Prime Minister Modi lauded Gujarat government for its efforts on water harvesting. He expressed confidence that every household will get drinking water by 2024. He also said that every state bhavan in the national capital should be the center to promote the culture and tradition of the state as well as trade and investment.
हम जड़ों से जुड़े रहना चाहते हैं, आसमान को छूना चाहते हैं। और इस भवन में जैसे बताया गया इको फ्रेंडली वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग, वाटर रिसाइकलिंग, ऐसे आधुनिक सिस्टम्स का भी भरपूर उपयोग है। तो दूसरी तरफ रानी की वाव का भी चित्रण है। इसमें जहां सोलर पावर जनरेशन की व्यवस्था है, वहीं मोढेरा सूर्य मंदिर को भी जगह मिली है। सॉलिड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट की आधुनिक तकनीक के साथ ही इस इमारत में कच्छ की लिप्पन कला के आर्ट को भी वहां पर जगह दी गई है, जिसमें पशुओं के वेस्ट को आर्ट की शक्ल दी जाती है। भाई और बहनों, निश्चित तौर पर ये सदन गुजरात के आर्ट एंड क्राफ्ट, हस्तशिल्प के लिए और गुजरात के हेरिटेज टूरिज्म को प्रमोट करने के लिए बहुत अहम सिद्ध हो सकता है।
The Mali Declaration, adopted at the South Asian Speakers Summit in the Maldives on Monday, rejected all assertions by Pakistan on Kashmir. The leaders participating in the summit unanimously felt that Kashmir was an internal matter of India. Before finalizing the declaration, speakers attending the summit held a roundtable on Monday on the concluding day of the summit to discuss the outcome. All efforts by the Pakistan delegation to get even a passing reference to Kashmir issue in the declaration drew a knot. The declaration was adopted a day after India thwarted an attempt by Pakistan to raise the Kashmir issue during the summit. Rajya Sabha Deputy Speaker Harivansh hit out at Pakistan for raising India's internal issue and politicization of the forum. Adopted at the conclusion of the two-day summit in Maldives' capital, the Mali Declaration included a proposal to achieve the goal of sustainable development, employment generation, as well as equality in work and pay. The declaration also focused on nutritional and food security to mothers, children and adolescents, and to advance the global agenda on climate change. Heading the India delegation, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla proposed several additions and amendments to draft, which were unanimously accepted. India's position on food safety, nutrition and jobs was prominently reflected in the Mali Declaration. Addressing the conference, Deputy Speaker of Rajya Sabha Harivansh said that India is ready to deal with the threats posed by climate change. He also informed the attendees about the various steps taken by India in this direction. Harivansh also spoke about the measures to promote the global agenda on climate change and to deal with challenges like implementing the Paris Agreement. Normalcy is returning in Jammu and Kashmir. Authorities lifted daytime restrictions across 92 police station areas in the Kashmir Valley as the situation is improving. Principal Secretary Rohit Kansal said on Monday that 93% of the state was free from any daytime restrictions and 90% of the Kashmir Valley was restriction-free. Kansal also assured that all medical facilities and hospitals were functioning normally. Landline telephone services have been restored in 76 exchanges out of the total of 95. Over 26,000 landline telephones are functional across the valley. Mobile phones are also working in the regions of Jammu and Ladakh. Government offices have also attained full functionality. Over 4,000 primary, middle and high schools are functioning in Kashmir now. Public transport and private vehicles are also plying now.
Out of 111 police stations in the valley, only 105 of which are territorial or functional in that sense. As we speak, daytime restrictions have been fully lifted from 92 police stations, up from 81 last week. This makes 90% of the valley free of daytime restrictions of any kind. Jammu and Ladakh already continue to be free from all such restrictions. And in totality, we have 93% of Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh free of any prohibitory orders today.
Union Minister Prahlad Patel on Monday said that post the removal of Article 370, the most positive condition is that of Leh and Ladakh. He said that despite a shortage of trained manpower, Leh is heaven for adventure and sports, and that the Leh and Ladakh model would be implemented in Jammu and Kashmir.
धारा 370 हटने के बाद में जो नया चित्र आया है उसमें सबसे सकारात्मक स्थिति अभी लेह लद्दाख की है। शांति है, सुंदरता है, सब कुछ होने के बावजूद भी वहाँ मैन पावर की कमी है, ट्रेंड मैन पावर नहीं है, गाइड्स की कमी है। अगर हम कोई बीएनबी स्कीम चलाते हैं तो वहाँ के परिवार के लोग उससे ट्रेनिंग लेकर बेहतर तरीके से सर्व कर सकें, बना सकें, उनके पास में कैटरीज हों, बाकी चीज़ें हों, इन बातों पर सबसे बड़ी चिंता है। एडवेंचर स्पोर्ट्स के लिए स्वर्ग है ले, लेकिन उसके लिए सुरक्षा के प्रबंध, उनकी ट्रेनिंग, तो इन सब के ट्रेनिंग देने का काम हम 2 महीने के भीतर करके उस राज्य में एक अच्छा कुशल मैन पावर हम देकर उनको भी लाभ मिलेगा, रोजगार मिलेगा और साथ में जो पर्यटक जाएगा वो भी संतुष्ट होकर वहाँ से लौटेगा। भीड़ बढ़ेगी तो वहाँ जन सुविधाएँ हैं या नहीं, वो हिल काउंसिल के साथ बैठकर अगर जो स्थान वो बताएंगे उसको भरपाई हम कर पाएँ, इस तैयारी के साथ में हम लोग वहाँ पर जा रहे हैं।
The centre on Monday said no person excluded from the final NRC will be detained till he or she exhausts all legal remedies, and such people will continue to enjoy all rights like any other citizen. In a statement, the Ministry of Home Affairs also said the Assam government has made necessary arrangements to provide legal aid to the needy amongst those excluded from the final National Register of Citizens to the district legal services authorities. The MHA said adequate judicial process is available for the people left out to appeal to the foreigners' tribunals within 120 days from 31st August, when the final NRC was published. To facilitate the appeals, 200 new FTs have been made functional from Monday, in addition to 100 already existing. Former Samajwadi Party leaders Surendra Singh Nagar and Sanjay Seth, who recently joined the BJP, have been nominated by the party as its candidate for the Rajya Sabha by-polls in Uttar Pradesh. Both Nagar and Seth had resigned from the upper house and Samajwadi Party before joining the BJP last month. Nagar was a 2-time member of parliament and said a well-known realtor of Uttar Pradesh candidature of both leaders was announced by the BJP's working president, JP Nadda. Nagar and Seth said they were inspired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership and joined BJP for the government's decision to scrap provisions of Article 370 that gave special status to Jammu and Kashmir. The BJP also announced Ojasvi Mandvi as its candidate for the Assembly bypoll in Dantewada in Chhattisgarh, Hari N for Pali in Kerala, Mimi Majumdar for Badharghat in Tripura, and Yuvraj Singh will be BJP's candidate for Hamirpur in Uttar Pradesh. Eight US-made Apache attack helicopters are set to be inducted into the Indian Air Force today in a major boost to its combat capabilities. The induction ceremony will take place at the Pathankot Air Force Station, where Air Chief Marshal B.S. Dhanwa will be the chief guest. The AH-64E Apache is one of the world's most advanced multi-role combat helicopters and is flown by the US Army. The RAF had signed a multi-billion-dollar contract with the US government and Boeing Limited in September 2015 for 22 Apache helicopters. The first 4 of the 22 helicopters was handed over to the Air Force by Boeing on July 27th. This will be its first fleet of attack choppers. By 2020, the RAF will operate a fleet of 22 Apaches. The 14th meeting of the Conference of Parties to the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification opened in Greater Noida on Monday. The mega event is being hosted by India, in which around 196 countries and 94 environment ministers are taking part. Inaugurating the conference, Union Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar said good outcomes are expected out of the COP14, considering massive participation. Committing to proactive global cooperation, Javadekar said climate change is a global problem with global impact, but international experience can be shared to help various countries.
बंजर जमीन को फिर से फर्टाइल बनाना, उसको फसल ले सकने जैसा बनाना, ये बहुत जरूरी है, संभव है। विज्ञान ने, तकनीक ने और मनुष्यों की प्रतिभा ने यह संभव किया है।
Speaking at the event, Ibrahim Thor, Executive Secretary of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, also expressed concern over land degradation. He said we must restore land using human intelligence and technology.
So if we as human beings, with the intelligence of ours and with the technology that we have today, are not able to reverse that trend, when are we going to do it and what are we going to leave to the next generations? Therefore, this COP is about the UN Convention to Combat Desertification, but it is also about jobs, it is about health, it is about prosperity, it is about security, it is about migration, international cooperation, because the interconnections between land and every single issue that we are dealing with from the 17 Sustainable Development Goals has been made clear.
The Conference of Parties will go on till September 13th, during which the ministers are expected to announce their targets for land restoration and agree on measures to address the related emerging threats of forced migration, sand and dust storms, and on actions to strengthen resilience to droughts. During the last COP in 2017 in China, countries had agreed on a 12-year strategy to contain runaway land degradation that is threatening global food and water supply. Pragyan and Vikram are finally on their way to the moon. After a journey of around a month and a half, Chandrayaan-2 is just 6 days away from achieving the unachieved landing, a rover on near South Pole of the moon, a feat unaccomplished by any other country. Pragyan is a 6-wheeled rover that is currently housed in the Vikram lander. The lander and the rover successfully broke from the Chandrayaan-2 orbiter on Monday afternoon and began their own journey to the moon. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu congratulated Team ISRO for achieving another milestone. In a tweet, Naidu said, "India moves a step closer to create history." He said the nation is waiting to watch its soft landing on the south pole of the moon on 7th of September.
Lunar expedition Chandrayaan-2 crossed a significant milestone on Monday afternoon when moon lander Vikram and the rover Pragyan it is carrying separated with the orbiter. ISRO scientists carried out the surgical action at 1:15 p.m. in just a few milliseconds. Vikram is now in the orbit of 119 km by 127 km around the moon. The orbiter is also flying in the same orbit and will continue to do so for 1 year. After the separation, the focus will now be on navigating the lander module to the lunar south pole. ISRO has planned 2 de-orbit maneuvers on Tuesday and Wednesday using the propellant on board the lander. Deorbiting will nudge the lander to the most optimal path for a gentle touchdown near the south pole of the moon on 7th September. Lander Vikram weighs nearly 1.5 tons. Its solar panels can generate 650 watts power. It has 3 payloads, including an instrument to study lunar seismic activity. It can also communicate with Indian Deep Space Network at Bayalalu, 24 kilometers from Bangalore, as well as with the orbiter and rover. All communication between Earth and lander Vikram will, however, take place only through the orbiter. Lander Vikram will be in the region where no moon probe has gone before. It carries 6-wheeled robotic vehicle rover Pragyan that will touch the ground on the lunar south pole. Rover Pragyan can travel up to 500 meters and uses solar energy. It can only communicate with the lander. It will carry out experiments on the lunar surface for 1 lunar day that equals to 14 Earth days. Both the lander and orbiter have instruments to carry out scientific experiments. Chandrayaan-2 will study mineralogy and chemical composition of the lunar soil. It will search for water or ice in the near south pole. Besides examining the moon's atmosphere, it will study lunar seismic activity and map the moon using high-resolution cameras. The pod descent of the lander will start on the intervening night of September 6th and 7th between 1:30 to 2:30 a.m. If all goes as per the plan, India would have landed near the South Pole on the moon. It will also be the 4th country to land a rover on the moon. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
A major fire broke out at ONGC's gas processing facility in Navi Mumbai's Udan this morning. 2 persons have been killed in the fire that broke out in stormwater drainage of the Udan gas and oil processing plant at around 7 a.m. Fire tenders are fighting the blaze. ONGC has deployed its fire services and crisis management teams to contain the fire. At least 16 people have been killed and more than 100 wounded after a suicide car bomb attack rocked central Kabul. The attack took place on Monday night in a residential area near Green Village, a large compound that houses aid agencies and international organizations. Taliban has claimed responsibility for the attack. Hurricane Dorian continued its unrelenting assault on the Grand Bahamas and Apache Islands on Monday, causing extreme destruction as storm surges rose 12 to 18 feet above normal tide levels, and at least 5 people were confirmed dead. Bahamas Prime Minister Hubert Minnis termed the hurricane a historic tragedy for the archipelago. However, the Category 4 storm came to a standstill as it pummeled the Bahamas. It is expected to move dangerously close to the Florida coast on Tuesday night. India registered yet another resounding win over West Indies in the second test on Monday to sweep the series 2-0. With this win, India consolidate their position at the top of the ICC World Test Championship point table. Resuming their innings at 45 for 2 on day 4, the Windies batsmen showed more fight than they put up in the first innings, but still could not match up to the superior level of India. and were bundled out for 210 in the second session to lose the match by 257 runs. A total of 12 players batted for the Windies in this innings because of the new concussion rules, but they still couldn't take the match to the final day. This was the first instance in Test history when 12 players came out to bat for a team. India topped the ICC World Test Championship table with 120 points from 2 matches, followed by New Zealand and Sri Lanka, who have 60 points each. India had won the first test by 318 runs in Antigua last week. The win saw Virat Kohli become the most successful test captain for India with 28 victories to his name. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu congratulates Indian cricket team for an emphatic win in the second and final test in Jamaica and for recording 8th straight series win against the West Indies. India finished at the top of the ISSF World Cup Pistol Championship in Rio de Janeiro with 5 gold, 2 silver and 2 bronze medals. Indian pair of Manu Bhaker and Saurabh Chaudhary defeated their compatriot rivals Yashaswini Deswai and Abhishek Verma in the summit clash of 10-meter air pistol mixed team event. India has now finished as the leading nation in the ISSF Senior World Cup events in 2019 with 16 gold, 4 silver and 2 bronze medals. Earlier, world number 1 Apurvi Chandela partnered with Deepak Kumar to win India their 4th gold medal in 10-meter mixed team air rifle event on Monday. The result ensured an unprecedented top finish for India across all 4 ISSF World Cup stages this year, including the 1 ISSF Junior World Cup. And with this, it's a wrap on this bulletin. Thank you so much for your time.